There's something I notice as a white man. White man always thinks he's got everything sorted. He's got the best way of doing everything. And in many cases, yeah, that's right. But when you get a chance to compare white culture to Aboriginal culture, I sort of think that some things we haven't got sorted right, and black man's got them sorted better. And there's some things, we got sorted well, and some we don't. There's other things where they've got a lot better method than us, and other things they don't have a very good method with. But I wanted to touch on something in regards to all that. I just think about all the Aboriginals, how a lot of them, in the appropriate areas, right in the, the desert outback areas on the reservations and all that, a lot of them still eat what they used to eat for many years. Their diet is primarily meat. And, there's bona fide government tests that have been done where they can eat a kilo of kangaroo meat or more and they're not eat anything for 3 days and their blood sugar just keeps perfectly level. They've got a different metabolism, different digestion. But it's always sort of amazed me how they just, is like hunter-gatherer, they just go out there and get what they can get and just sort of leave it at that. Whereas white man's out there furiously trying to grow stuff that doesn't suit the soil, so he's got to use fertiliser, that the bugs are tearing the bloody life out of, so he's running around spraying everything with pesticide. And it always seems that white man's got this idea that he's got to get whatever it is and basically bend everything to suit what he wants to grow and what he wants to raise and whatnot. And yes, we're not that stupid that we don't pick appropriate areas with good soil and good rainfall. But having said that, I don't know how many times I've sort of realised that people try and grow something and they're fighting like a dog against, bugs and flipping rabbits and roos eating it and wrong soil type, so they've got to fertilise and this and that, and they fight every inch of the way to try and grow what they want to grow, regardless of the fact that there's some plants in some areas that just grow fantastic. And what they'll do, they'll get an area that might not be perfectly suited to their crop and they'll go like hell trying to grow that, but never, ever, ever take into consideration any other crops that may grow very well. I think of this area here. Now, plums just go stupid here. I mean, they're just about, let's put it like this. If someone went around planting a whole stack of them here and there, they would literally become a weed because they grow so well here, it's not funny. They are grown along the riverside, they are grown along the roadside, self-seeded. No one planted them, they're just sort of coming up. And, that's one thing that anyone who had any brains would be growing a lot of plums in this area. The other one that grows really well is silver beet. And, my mum has got the same soil type as I have, and she's over there, and she was planted a bit of silver beet, and it sort of went stupid, and it even got out and started getting into the paddock. Well, the sheep realised it tastes pretty good, according to them, and they made short work of that, so it never really got away. But it grows really well, and you try and grow some other things, and you may have real difficulties. But silver beet, you can put it in and just ignore it, and it just goes like a weed. So grow silver beet. Here, without any fertiliser, we can grow peas. In actual fact, not this season, which is starting to come now, but the previous season we had a bumper year for native peas. They were turning up on the road, so they were just everywhere. They're in places that I never would have thought they were in, and they were just all over the joint. Every pea seed that could sprout of these native peas sprouted last year. Well, all those went to seed, and now around my house, I've got large amounts of them re-sprouting now. I mean, a lot of them are coming up. And I hope they get going and get crazy, because they are a native pea. And they're just like normal peas, just slightly smaller pods and slightly smaller peas, but they are perfectly edible. You know, and my grandfather and other relatives grew peas on a commercial scale, literally a quarter mile from where I'm sitting now. You know, the other one was onions. Go like crazy around here. One of my dad's cousins even had like an acre or half an acre of carrots. All this grows without fertiliser. Now, you may be jealous that I've got such good soil, and I know I do. It also has a little bit of a problem that it's very dense. There's some things that won't grow because the soil's too dense. And I sort of think, if I was to do anything on a commercial scale, it'd be very stupid for me to go like bejesus trying to grow something that's made for sandy soil and can't handle the heavy soil here, or something that doesn't want to grow, and then go blast it with pesticides and everything and go, oh, well, I got it to grow. You know, I blew all this money trying to, you know, keep the rabbits away from it, keep the flaming pesticide on it, and it needed a different nutrient type that, you know, we may not have. I mean, I think we've got every nutrient type you can dream of in this soil, but, you know, theoretically, you know, some people will go and realise their soil doesn't have a nutrient type, so then they've got to fertilise for it, or the soil's just crap as it is, and they've got to fertilise to get it going. And, you know, I think it's a stupid thing to go fighting like a dog to grow something which might not be suited to the soil, you know, and try and do it on a commercial basis when you've got stuff that is suited to the soil, and you just completely ignore it. You know, and I've seen that happening before, and I just think it's just strange. It's a white man trait that he's going to make things work his way and just disregard what he could have grown. And I know there's markets and people don't buy certain things, and, well, onions in particular have got a real hard time being sold in this country comparative to, you know, back in the day when my grandfather was doing it. You know, onions were a part of almost every day. There'd be a meal with onions. If not, you know, it'd be every second day. But onions were eaten a lot, and now they're not, apparently. Those in the onion business have got no one to sell to. And I realise all that, but at the same time, it just always strikes me as a bit strange that there's some things grow so well in some areas, and yet commercially they're just ignored. And there will be another area that is not suited to grow that same thing, that's fighting like hell to grow that thing, that in another area grows almost perfectly with complete neglect. You know, so that's just something I thought I'd bring up. And, you know, you may want to think of it yourself if you ever want to do some sort of a little thing, you know, trade-wise, or grow something. Find out what grows well in your area, and also how to sell it to people where A, they're on gritters or greenies or whoever who are interested in buying it, because you won't sell it to the local old women who have already realised it grows like a weed and have it running rampant in their front garden. But, you know, just sort of keep these things in mind, that if you can grow something easily and sell that, or use that to barter in a grid dance situation, or if you're a homesteader or self-sufficient person who, you know, can grow stuff, think about growing the stuff that will grow well. I know you've got to take into account if people are going to buy it or not, or if people are willing to have it or not, but just keep that sort of stuff in mind, as opposed to read the newspaper and say, oh, this stuff in the newspaper here sells so expensive, we should grow it. And go like hell trying to grow something in soil that it won't grow in. And produce zilch comparative to something which would have grown like a weed and you could have sold a lot of, or had a lot of it for the purposes of barter in case of grid down, economic collapse or whatever. So yeah, that's just something I thought I'd mention.